I want to point out that even though I'm on tiermaker.com, this is not a tier list. I would never do something like that. This is a matchup chart. Alright, so before I even start this, I should put out a disclaimer. Usually when I make a matchup chart, I feel very confident about how every matchup goes. But even though I've been playing A.K.I now for like, I don't know, a couple of months since she came out, I still feel like a lot of these are kind of up in the air. So maybe I'll come back to this in the future and have a look and see like what I would have changed with hindsight. This is more to be like a time capsule of how things are going to evolve over time. So I'm actually not super confident in this, but this is what I think right now. The other thing I'm going to do, I think A.K.I only has an advantage in one matchup in the entire game. I'm not even sure I should have done 2 categories here. I think she only outright wins one matchup. And you might think, doesn't that make her like a garbage character? And I actually think the answer is no. Because Street Fighter 6 is a weird game. And I feel like as long as you've got a lot of 5-5s, then I think that's okay. So I guess we should start off with the one matchup that I think she has an advantage in. Which is... drumroll please. Jamie. I think this is the only matchup that A.K.I just outright counters. I don't even think it's full advantage. I don't know if I'd go that far. But the thing about Jamie is that Jamie is only a threat to A.K.I once he's got like 3 or 4 drinks. And that's too much of a hurdle to overcome the matchup, I think. Like, I never really lose to Jamies unless I make lots of mistakes and let them get a shitload of drink levels. Even if they get 1 or 2 drinks, this character just isn't that threatening. He doesn't have good ways of getting around fireballs. He doesn't have that good maneuverability. His combos aren't that threatening. And he constantly has to give up Oki to get drink levels. So even when I get hit by Jamie, either he does the drink ender on his combos, and then I'm not threatened by Oki. Or he does an Oki ender, and I'm not threatened by drink levels. So, yeah, I just don't find Jamie particularly scary from round start. And he just doesn't have good tools to get around A.K.I.'s stuff. So, with that being said, there's the one positive. Let's get going with the evens. Ryu is even, I think. There's quite a lot. I think this is the case for most sort of Shoto-ish characters. I think A.K.I fights these ones alright. She can sort of keep up with the fireball war. She can pressure them. In fact, I might do a few at a time here. I'm going to say Ken is even. I'm going to say Luke is even. Let's go with those 3, because these are all very similar characters. They're just better and worse at the same kind of thing. Obviously, Ken and Luke are better than Ryu. Their general game plan is the same. A.K.I can keep up with it. She's got tools to compete with it in neutral, because their fireballs are very standard. Actually, Luke especially, let me show you guys something. This is something I've been working on recently. So one cool thing about the Luke matchup is this is probably the only matchup in the game where Luke's fireball is actually like a hindrance. So A.K.I has this move, Coward Crouch Dive. Like that. And you can use this to punish fireballs like I just did there. But the issue is that she's only projectile invincible as she's rising up from the ground. She's not projectile invincible the whole travel time, just when she's getting up. Which means that if you want to go through fireballs with this move, you have to do it early. And it's kind of risky to do it at long range. Because if you do that, you get blocked and you're minus 19. So punishing fireballs with this move is doable against like Ryu and Ken, but it's a little bit tricky to time and not super consistent. But Luke is an exception. So because Luke has the Counter-Strike instant hit scan fireballs that have like almost no travel time, normally this is a really good thing to have for Luke. A lot of characters find it difficult to work around this, but this is actually good for A.K.I. Because there's no travel time, regardless of when you press the button here, you pretty much always get a punish. As long as you're in Coward Crouch stance, you can just wait until you see a fireball, and then just press punch. And even if your timing's pretty bad, you will pretty much always get a punish counter from this. I tried, that was like as bad as I can do it. But yeah. So I actually think that A.K.I can kind of stop Luke from throwing Sandblast, which is good. It's not enough to make the matchup, like, advantageous for A.K.I, because you still have to compete with the God Normal. Like, A.K.I's hitboxes and hurtboxes just don't really allow her to compete with a button like this without taking huge risks. Not the best showcase of that. But like, yeah. A lot of A.K.I's buttons do struggle to compete with Luke's, even if I'm not doing a great job of showing this off. Editor, cut this out. There we go. There you go. A lot of the time you will just get counter hit on startup by Luke buttons and die. So I feel like Luke out buttons A.K.I, but she does have answers to his stuff. So I think all the Shotos generally are like that, and that's why I think they're all pretty even matchups. Alright, I guess let's just do the rest by order that they appear in the thing. So, Chun-Li, I think this is a bad matchup. I'm actually going to go full disadvantage here. I think this is a very difficult matchup for A.K.I. Chun-Li's Fireball is like a kind of Guile Fireball. It's not as good as Guile's, but I'm also going to put Guile here as well. These two matchups suck. I really do not like these matchups. A.K.I can't compete with these characters' Fireballs. Like, not even close. Look at the difference in frame data on these Fireballs. Like, I feel like A.K.I's Fireball was designed to compete with, like, normal Fireballs, like Ryu and Ken. Standard ones. But the super low recovery charge Fireballs are just in another realm compared to A.K.I. So, like, A.K.I's Fireball is 17 frames startup, 35 recovery, 52 frames total. So from the moment that you input the Fireball, she's vulnerable for nearly a whole second. It's one of the slowest Fireballs in the whole game, frame data wise. 52 frames is very, very difficult to compete with a move that's 40 frames total. 10 startup, 30 recovery, Sonic Boom. I think they're all the same. Yeah, 10, 30. Like, this gap is huge. It doesn't maybe feel that huge. You're thinking like, oh, well, that's just like 12 frames. Is that big of a deal? Yes, that is a huge deal. Guile can pump out Fireballs so much faster than A.K.I can. And pretty much all of A.K.I's anti-Fireball tools are too slow to punish a move like this without a hard read. So, like, let me show you. So as you can see, dive, if done super early, works. But if you're delaying it at all, or you're a bit further away, this just isn't gonna work. So you can't use dive. You also can't just use regular coward crouch. This isn't a punish. He can actually hit you here. If you try and do regular coward crouch roll, he recovers like 20 frames before you even press the roll kicks and can just hit you out of it. That doesn't work. Even this, even if I do like a perfectly timed flip, way too slow. EX just about works, but again, like, this isn't me doing it on reaction, this is just me guessing, because I know when the dummy's gonna do it. If I do any of these things when the Sonic Boom is already out on screen, it's already way too late. Like, there's no reactive thing you can do against Sonic Boom. So that means that to get in against Guile, I have to take a lot of risks and just sort of throw stuff out preemptively. Like, EX Chain is a punish, but I'm doing this before he's even put his Fireball on the screen. Like, I'm spending 2 bars of drive gauge on a pure guess. Like that. But if that guess turns out to be wrong, or I do it slightly too slowly, then I've just wasted 1/3 of my drive gauge, and I'm now in a bad spot. It's so hard in this matchup to, like, ration your drive gauge, because you constantly have to gamble EX moves like this and this in neutral on just like the hope that you do it at the same time as a Sonic Boom. And the other side of the thing is that Guile actually has very hard rushdown for A.K.I to deal with. Like, when the Guile player is doing like Sonic Boom plus Drive Rush, A.K.I has very little answers to this. She doesn't have a good way to stop that. You can EX chain it again, but it's a guess. It's not a reaction. So if the Guile player throws the Sonic Boom and doesn't Drive Rush, you might lose the whole round. You just have to take too many risks. You have to take too many risks, and you have to spend too much drive in this matchup on guesses. So yeah, I think this matchup sucks. Kimberly. I think Kimberly has a slight advantage against A.K.I. This is one of the matchups that I thought would be really bad early on, because high mobility is usually a problem for A.K.I. But I don't think Kimberly's is too bad, because Kimberly doesn't hit very hard, and she has to take some risks to get in. So you can make mistakes against Kimberly, and it's not round ending. Like, if you make a mistake against, like, Luke, for example, he'll do, like, 60% of your health and put you in the corner, and you're now, like, one shimmy away from dying. If you make a mistake against Kimberly, you probably still got, like, 3 more guesses left. She just doesn't hit that hard. So even though she can be a bit overwhelming in neutral, and you can get rushed down by this character, doing all her mix-ups and stuff, the fact that she doesn't end the game off one interaction is why I don't think it's that bad. Like, you get more chances to guess right after the first one. Juri. I think Juri is also a slight disadvantage. Juri is kind of like a hybrid of, like, a Shotoi character and Kimberly. She's got a very fast drive rush, which is a bit scary. The issue with Juri, I think, is that it's very difficult to stop Juri players getting stores up. So, like, most characters in this game that have, like, a leveling system, like Lily, for example, a lot of them will, like, back up to full screen and then, like, charge levels. And at the very least, you can kind of threaten to chase down with, like, Fireball or Drive Rush against these characters. Because, like, A.K.I has a very fast Drive Rush, so you can at least be sort of threatening. But the issue is, Juri's store is unique, because the move that you have to whiff to do it has a anti-projectile property. So if I'm throwing fireballs at Juri from full screen... So, like, this is the issue. She can simultaneously get her charge and delete the incoming fireball, which none of the other characters can. So I find it very difficult to stop Juri getting stocks. And then once she has the stocks, this matchup just becomes unfun, because it just, like, Juri has infinite pressure once she's got stocks up. You're just dealing with, like, this kind of bullshit all day. Normal, medium fireball, medium fireball, medium fireball. Like, just endless Juri pressure. She can obviously rush in on you. It's also hard to play a fireball game against Juri because she can do this. And because of the high recovery on A.K.I.'s fireballs, distances where you'd normally be completely immune to a jump, Juri can still threaten you. So, like... But, like, anytime you feel like, aha, I've spaced out my fireball, so Juri's gonna fall on it. If Juri just transitions into dive kick, it's almost always a punish, even from full screen. Like that. This is a side effect of A.K.I.'s insanely high fireball recovery. So, like, even at full screen, Juri is very threatening in a way that most characters aren't. So I do not like this matchup. I don't really feel comfortable against her from any range. It's hard to play neutral against this character. It's hard to zone her, and when she gets in, it's hard to get her off you. Blanka... I'm gonna put Blanka in slight disadvantage as well. Basically because of one normal. I'm gonna put this down to one singular normal. Down forward fierce. If it wasn't for down forward fierce, this would be even, I think. So for almost the exact same reasons that I just said that Juri is annoying, because she can threaten to punish fireballs from so far away, Blanka also has the exact same thing going on. And it's not like you have to be particularly good at using this move. Like, you can wait so late, and this is still a punish counter. You can just chill as Blanka, and this will almost always still be a punish, as long as you have, like, not terrible reactions. The window to punish this is huge. And there's no way to mix up the timing on A.K.I.'s fireball. So as long as you recognize the fireball animation, this is guaranteed. So what this means is that A.K.I. just can't use projectiles against Blanka. So you kind of have to, like, compete with Blanka on the ground. And that's not as bad as some characters. I feel like A.K.I. can somewhat play footsies with Blanka. Blanka's normals aren't amazing. They're not, like, Luke normals. So that's why I think this matchup isn't terrible. It's a slight disadvantage, because, like, the only real threatening normal Blanka has at this range is this thing. And this does have, like, some recovery. So like, Blanka's neutral is good at this range, but it's not as oppressive as some characters. So I feel like you can kind of get into a footsie fight slugfest up close, even if you lose access to your fireball. Dhalsim. See, this one's an interesting one, because when I first started fighting Dhalsims with A.K.I, I thought this matchup was garbage. And over time, I got a little bit more confident in it, and now I think it might be even. Like, the breakthrough moment was when I realized how good Coward Crouch Dive is against Dhalsim. Especially for stopping him from just floating all day. That was kind of the moment that I realized this matchup wasn't as bad as I thought. There's a couple of things going on in this matchup. So like, one of them is that, as I said, I was getting bodied a lot early on by Dhalsim players just doing this all day. They would just put a fireball on the screen and then go into float and be threatening. But the thing to realize is that this isn't actually not a great position to be in, because Coward Crouch Dive will snipe Dhalsim out of the sky. And if he tries to float out of over one of A.K.I.'s fireballs, you can actually punish him super hard for it. Because if that happens, if they try and float over the fireball like that, then that's where kind of the mind game comes in. And this turns into like a fat combo as well. You can use medium chain, but medium chain is insanely slow, and I don't like using it like that. And also, medium chain doesn't work at like this distance, which you see a lot. Like, this is the distance where a lot of sims start floating. The Coward Crouch Dive is really good at this. You can also do silly combos like this. Stuff like that you can do. I've learned that a couple of times in matches, which is cool. The other side of this matchup, the other thing that I kind of realized is that if you can get, it's not easy to do, but if you can get a poison pull down, one thing that's interesting is that Dhalsim's extended limbs all count as him stepping on the pool. So like, even if the pool is like full screen, it's actually risky for Dhalsim to now press buttons, because if he does, he'll get poisoned, even from full screen. So now the next hit Dhalsim takes could potentially ruin him completely, and he's also going to lose a little bit of health. Like, even if the Dhalsim player doesn't get hit, you can now spend the next couple of seconds playing kind of lame, and the Dhalsim player is always going to lose like 500 health without much they can do to avoid it, because they kind of do have to like use their long range normals. But while the puddle is on the screen, it's not guaranteed. So I think this matchup is actually pretty even. There's a lot of interesting interactions. There's more to figure out. There aren't that many Dhalsim players out there, so I kind of need a bit more experience in it. But I have played against like Crimson and Garnet, so it's a decent sample size. Honda. I think this matchup is even, but I'm bad at it. Like, this is a weird one. My win rate against Honda is not very good lately, but I feel like that's me making mistakes and not the matchup being bad. So like, I often fuck up punishes and anti-airs on butt slam and stuff, but I don't think that actually is a matchup issue. That's a skill issue on my part. You can kind of zone Honda, honestly. Honda doesn't have that many good ways of getting around zoning, and you can like take advantage of his slow mobility to just sort of run away and play like a hit and run game plan, I think. The only thing you've got to be careful of, which I've fallen victim to quite a few times, is trying to anti-air butt slam with heavy whip. You gotta be a little bit careful here, because if you don't time this right, that happens and you get punish countered very easily into a fat combo. Even when it feels like it should hit like that. Honda doesn't actually have a hurt box around his butt when he's coming down. So this can happen very easily. Like I said, this isn't a matchup issue, this is more just like a decision-making issue. And a timing issue. You're actually better off using stand heavy kick, really, for this. There we go. Yeah, you also get a combo into EX air daggers on stand heavy kick. You can do stuff like that. The safest option here probably is just jump back medium punch. Probably just jump back medium punch is the best answer here. Okay. Deejay is, I think, a slight disadvantage. This matchup is awkward. Obviously, we know that Deejay hits like a truck. It's hard to stop Deejay players from partying. I don't think it's quite as bad as these two, but I think it is pretty bad. One thing that I really hate about this matchup, Capcom, please nerf. Deejay's EX fireball being a 3-hit fireball up close is so annoying. Like, it drives me nuts because it means that you can't really ever use A.K.I's EX fireball to try and force pressure against Deejay. Because he can just wait until late as possible and then just count with his own EX fireball. He plays like an Uno reverse card. So like, Deejay has a 2-hit regular fireball, which means that it's very hard for A.K.I to play a fireball game against him because this kind of stuff happens a lot. You get hit by the, you trade the first fireball and then get hit by the second. So the tempting thing to do as an A.K.I player is to use your EX fireball to blow through his 2-hit fireball. But this happens. Because, for whatever insane reason, Deejay's EX fireball is 3 hits up close. It means that you physically cannot, like, use your EX fireball to, like, get in for free. Because you'll just get bodied for it. Very annoying. I think that's one of the reasons why I find this matchup really hard. So even though you commit to spending the bar on the EX, Deejay can just Uno reverse you and go, nope, I'm EX. Very annoying. Obviously, Deejay's a pressure monster, and that's rarely a good thing for A.K.I. A.K.I's defensive options are bad. Yes, that is one thing I should mention. Yeah, there we go. So, like, Deejay's main Oki that he does most of the time is this frame kill, where you do a knockdown, and then dash, and then drive rush. So this is a meaty. And this will beat any button I press on wake up and counter hit me. And if I press my reversal level 1, which is hard enough to do already, it doesn't work, because it's a meaty jab. So you kind of just have to hold this pressure all day, every day. You're making it sound more than slightly disadvantageous. Maybe this should be in strong disadvantage. I don't know. It could go in either. Can you even level 3 here? Oh yeah, you can't level 3 either. So you quite literally have no answer to this situation other than just blocking or perfect parrying, I guess. Perfect parry is your only escape route here. Yeah, so you can go for the perfect parry if you're feeling bold like that, but the problem here, as you've mentioned, is that if they decide to not go for the jab, and they just go for the throw loop, and you go for the perfect parry, expecting the jab, then you eat another throw and a punish counter, and you lose 1 bar of drive gauge, which is not good. Can't really zone Deejay, and then once he gets in, it's curtains. It's also hard to take advantage of your turn even when Deejay players make mistakes because a lot of A.K.I's buttons in like this range are quite stubby. So if a Deejay player does like this, let's say you block a sway at like this distance, you're risking the second sway into punish counter into death. So that one I agree could be in either. Like, I can see an argument for this being down here. The time being, I'm going to put it here, because I feel like it's slightly less annoying than these two, but maybe. Manon is even, I think. Manon, to me, is kind of like the Jamie matchup, where it's like, she doesn't have very good maneuverability, she struggles to get in on A.K.I, and she has to take quite a lot of risks to get in. The reason that I don't say this is an advantage is just because I feel like Manon's tools are better at round start. She's got more long-range things that she can threaten with. Her big fat stand heavy kick is annoying. The flip overhead is annoying. The spin low is annoying. She's just got more ways of, like, making you a little bit nervous in neutral at, like, half-screen distance. Where Jamie doesn't get scary until he completes a bunch of tasks. But, yeah, Manon is, even, I think. Pretty standard matchup. Keep her out as best you can. She also has bad defense. So you can actually kind of go nuts on Manon's defense when you get a knockdown. And she has to take risks and go for like wake up level 1 or wake up level 2. This one's even, I think. Not much more to say than that. Marisa. This is similar to me for the Dhalsim matchup, where when I first started fighting Marissa's, I was like, holy fuck, this matchup is unwinnable. And over time, I'm starting to think this is even as well. I actually played a 1st to 10 against Big Bird the other day. I think Big Bird won like 10-9 or 10-8. It was a really close set. And I feel like Big Bird's the best way to test this, because I think we can all agree Big Bird is like the best Marisa in the world. So I feel like that's a good starting point for figuring out if the matchup is what you think it is. The thing about this matchup that I realized after playing it a lot is like Marissa's best tools, almost all of them lose to Coward Crouch in neutral. Let me show you. This is like the only matchup where Coward Crouch feels like Street Fighter V Coward Crouch. In Street Fighter V, Fang players would use this constantly in neutral to go under stuff. And you can low profile a lot of things in this game. There's a lot of normals you can low profile with Coward Crouch, but I feel like Marisa is the one matchup where it's like defines the matchup is how much you can Coward Crouch. So like, let me just run through a list real quick. So Gladius is a guaranteed Coward Crouch. You will always go underneath Gladius. Superman Punch, I think, is also a guaranteed Coward Crouch. So if they start throwing out Superman Punch in neutral to try and get over a fireball, you can just preemptively get into a low profile and then just destroy her for it. I think this always misses, even when like the punch is like right in your face. The Sparta Kick, I think, also loses. I think this also gets low profiled. Yep. That one's also a low profile. But like pretty much all of her specials that she's going to use in neutral, Gladius, Superman Punch, and Step Kick, these are her best moves to just throw out in neutral in most matchups. And the fact that if you're in Coward Crouch stance, you're completely immune to all of them is actually kind of crazy. So this is the one matchup where I would actually advise sometimes just going into Coward Crouch in neutral. Just do this, fish for stuff. The other thing is, the other side of this is that this normal right here, forward heavy kick, this is one of A.K.I.'s best normals in general. Like in every matchup, because this thing's plus on block and you get a combo on hit. This is also really nice for this matchup because it's 2 hits. So most characters, if they try and use their best pressure normal, they'll lose to Gladius. So like, for example, if I was like a character that required like a heavy punch here, that would happen, right? A single hit normal in neutral, done at the same time as a Gladius, will get you killed. But because it's 2 hits, it breaks the armor and you get a counter hit here. So it's actually surprisingly scary for Marisa to just throw out Gladius in neutral, because you can just blow through it with stand heavy kick and then get a full conversion out of it. But having a 2-hit normal that's plus on block is very good, because it forces Marisa to have to use EX Gladius to get through it, which is a big investment. Yeah, A.K.I. has a good throw game, and that's also good against Marisa. Because it means that if she wakes up with EX stance, you can just throw loop her to death. The other nice thing about this is that, as well as being able to throw her out of this, because A.K.I.'s combos all end in a safe jump, you can do jump light kick, and Marisa can't do anything about it, basically. So like, anytime I end a combo into a safe jump, if I do the safe jump, jump light kick here, I can actually block in time on the EX stance and get a full punish. What is this, -4? Hang on. Oh, it's -5. Okay. Understood. You can do stuff like this. Can't she command grab though? Nope. Not unblocked. In this situation, that's a guaranteed punish. Yeah. Because the reason you want to do jump light kick here is that if you do like jump heavies, you will get hit by the the EX stance. But if you do jump lights, you can block in time. But yeah, you can do a lot of cool pressure stuff against Marisa. The reason that I don't put this as a good, like a positive matchup for A.K.I is just purely because Marisa hits so hard off like any hit, and she can just snowball the round so quickly. Like, I've had so many matches where I'm just completely dominating a Marisa player. They land one stray hit into level 3 and it's over. Like, she can just reverse a round so easily. It's just unstable, yeah. I think it's even. I think it's even. Alright, JP. This matchup sucks. I think this is as bad as Guile and Chun. Unfortunately, the trailer lied. As much as we all wanted to believe from the A.K.I trailer that A.K.I would be the answer to the JP menace, this matchup is terrible. It's kind of the same story as these two. So, A.K.I cannot remotely compete with JP's projectiles. He can fill the screen with bullshit in the time it takes her to get out one fireball. And even if you manage to get up into the mid-range, if you manage to get through the first layer of offense, JP's normals have like 3 times the hitbox and 1/10 of the hurtbox. So every single time I press a button, if JP presses like crouch medium punch or stand heavy punch at the same time, I'm just gonna get punish countered and die. So at full screen I lose, up close I lose. A.K.I doesn't have good answers to amnesia either. Like, I've put a lot of time into this matchup trying to find good ways to counter amnesia. So for example, like if I get JP to the corner, yeah. So let's say I go for the safe jump here, and the safe jump hits the EX amnesia. Now normally I've got tons of frame advantage here as the A.K.I player, but there's not much I can do with it because all of A.K.I's specials basically just get completely eaten by the bombs. So like, I can't use EX Fireball here to try and delete them, because it just doesn't work. I can't use EX Chain, for example, because it just doesn't do anything. I can't use EX Flip to try and like get over them. I mean, that on hit I can do that. But if the JP player just blocks here, then I die. Pretty much the only thing that you can do to punish JP is jab level 1. That's basically it. This is like your only anti-JP tech against amnesia. So that means that I have to respect amnesia a lot, which leads to situations where I like do this. Like I back off to try and bait it out. But that opens me up to the JP player just like doing jump on wake up. Like the amount of times that I like bait out EX amnesia and they just forward jump on wake up, and then I just lose is not good. You can throw here. That's the main mix up. You can just go for a throw here. But these aren't good options. The risk reward is not skewed in A.K.I's favor. I have to take risks here. If the JP player just does level 1 when I try and throw them, or when I try and jab them, I'm gonna lose 50%. So yeah, so it's a losing matchup at full screen, it's a losing matchup in the mid-range, and then once you finally get a hit, it's very scary to pressure JP. I just don't think there's like anywhere on the screen that A.K.I really excels in this matchup. Can't she do meaty bubble? That is one thing. One tiny light in this matchup is that if you can get her corner pressure going, you can do a sequence like this into the meaty bubble. Whoops. You can do like this, and that will beat EX Amnesia in that situation. But you can only really get that knockdown off someone who's already poisoned and already in the corner. So getting into the position to do this stuff is very difficult. But once you get into this position, it's pretty good. Zangief. I think this matchup's even. I find it uncomfortable. I think maybe because I used to play JP, so I know what it's like to have a privileged matchup against Zangief. And maybe it feels worse because I'm now playing an even matchup. But I think this matchup's even. Zangief is a little bit scary in neutral. Just because he's this giant wall coming at you. But his maneuverability is not great. He's kind of slow. It's kind of like the Manon matchup. Hasn't got a very fast drive rush. Kind of slow on the ground. And relies on you making mistakes to get in. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that's even. Not much to say here. It's pretty straightforward. You just got to keep Zangief out as long as you can. Lily. This is a weird one because, like, I think this is in Lily's favor. I don't like this matchup. But the amount of times I've seen Lily players lie about this matchup is crazy. And I'm not gonna say like they're just misinformed. But, like, outright lying is really weird. I have seen like 100 Lily players say this matchup sucks for Lily because you can just coward crouch underneath her Condor Spire. I'm just looking at the screen like, have you guys actually tested that interaction? Because that's not what happens. Like, have they actually played the game? Have they actually tested that? Or is it just a thing that people keep saying? Because, like, yes, you do low profile it. That much is true. But let me show you why this is not actually what it seems like. So yes, you can post the Twitter clip of Coward Crouch going underneath this move. But no one's actually stopped to ask, like, okay, what's the situation here? Because as you may have noticed, if I manage to low profile this, A.K.I is now stuck crawling the complete wrong way, and I have no way of attacking Lily from behind. So, like, even if I get under this, I'm -8 if I cancel out of Coward Crouch. Lily can punish me for this. If I try and do any attack, A.K.I will attack the wrong way, because she's facing the wrong way. So this will whiff. This will whiff. Can't you do kicks as she goes over? Like, it's like a frame perfect punish. You can if you get it like perfectly, but most of the time you'll just whiff. And it's not like I'm doing this on reaction. I'm going into Coward Crouch on a guess here. So yeah, so I've seen a lot of very weird posts about how you can just spend the entire match Coward Crouching and you beat Lily, which don't make any sense. Like, I feel like no one's actually tested this interaction. So that's one thing. The other thing is that obviously once Lily gets some charges up, if she can get her game plan started, even if it's just one, the match just snowballs so quickly because she just does this, and then you're in a 50-50. You block the enhanced EX Spire, and then it's mix up command grab versus light kick. It's just hard. So as I mentioned earlier, A.K.I.'s Fireball has 10,000 years of recovery, and this is one of the best anti-fireball moves in the entire game. So if Lily gets like one stock up, the match becomes a nightmare. Because like I could train I could train a golden retriever to punish this. It's the window is so huge. And here's the real issue, is that even if you fuck up the timing somehow, even if you have old man reactions, it doesn't matter because it's +2 on block. So you get the mix up either way. It doesn't really matter if it hits or is blocked. And then you're back in the blender again. It's weird because Lily is like on paper one of the weakest characters in the game, but I feel like A.K.I has some difficult matchups into weak characters. Like she gets countered by some unusual characters. Alright, we're getting there. Cammy. Cammy is, I think, a slight disadvantage. I've slightly softened on this matchup the more that I play A.K.I. If A.K.I.'s uppercut, if her heavy whip was frame 1 air invincible, I'd even go as far as saying as this was a 5-5. But because she doesn't have a frame 1 anti-air, I think that's enough to make it a slight disadvantage, because it's a lot harder to anti-air Cammy when your uppercut is, I think frame 6 air invulnerable. It's a hard matchup, but I feel like it's getting a little bit easier over time. So, like, you've just got to be more careful with how you play it. The mistake most people make in this matchup is, like, just brainlessly trying to zone Cammy out with Fireball, and that's obviously never going to work for the same reasons I've just showed with Lily. If you just throw out stupid fireballs, then this is gonna happen. You know, you can't just throw out dumb fireballs, but I do actually feel like A.K.I, if you play like a hit and run style and make it very hard for Cammy players to know like where you're gonna be at any given time, I think that's the right approach. Like, I found a lot of success in this matchup when I started doing lots of like movement, moving in and moving out and putting down the pool and like drive rushing sometimes and like neutral jumping, just trying to make it awkward for the Cammy player so that like they can never space a dive kick safely because they're constantly worried that you're going to be moving around or jumping or doing stuff. You got to be very active in this matchup, I think. It's still difficult. Obviously, like Cammy has 10,000 ways of getting in, but I don't think it's as bad as I first thought. And the last matchup on my list is Rashid. I'm going to put this as a slight disadvantage as well. I think Rashid matchup is very similar to Kimberly. I consider these to be like the same matchup basically, where it's like Rashid has amazing mobility and lots of ways of getting in on A.K.I, but at the same time he doesn't hit that hard, so you get a lot more chances to live than you would against like Luke or Deejay. Ah, screw it, we're moving Deejay down. I keep saying I might do it. We're moving Deejay down to disadvantage. There's no way that I can put the Deejay matchup alongside like Kimberly and Rashid. DJ's too hard. I'm moving it down. But yeah, so Rashid, like I say, very fast movement, hard to keep under control. Lots of ways to get around your buttons and stuff, but just not that scary. And also, I guess one thing I should mention is that Rashid's level 2 is probably the best level 2 in the entire game, to the point that a lot of Rashid players have just given up on level 3. A lot of Rashid players now just dump level 2 the second they get it. A.K.I is one of the very few characters who can actually, like, not really respect level 2 that much. She's got a lot of good answers to level 2, which I think is helpful. If the Rashid player just tries to set up the level 2 in neutral, if they just try and lock you down with the level 2, you can actually just respond with your own level 2. And this is a punish. It doesn't do much damage. This does 1,667, which is not great for a level 2. But being able to shut down the best level 2 in the game with your own, even if the damage does suck, is definitely worth doing. Just nullifying Rashid's level 2 is enough as far as I'm concerned. The extra damage is just a bonus prize. Obviously, this only works if they do it in neutral. If the Rashid player gets a knockdown first and then does the level 2, then it's a safe setup. You gotta be a bit more careful. But the other thing about this matchup, and the level 2 specifically, is the fact that what you can do, if they activate it in neutral, and then try and force their way in by, like, using it as a shield, and then they eventually do that, you'll see this a lot. You'll see Rashid players follow in behind the whirlwind, and then eventually when it's about to run out, they do that. Because the whirlwind doesn't last forever, they have to fire it at you eventually. So what you can do is you can actually just wait until you see them use the wind thing, and then do that. So like, worst case scenario here, I get punished with a throw if they see it coming. But being able to EX slide and basically, at worst, get thrown in exchange for Rashid's level 2 is really good. Almost no characters can do that. Is that everyone? I think that's everyone. So I know what it looks like. I know that one winning matchup doesn't look like the recipe for a character that's good in any capacity. But I still think A.K.I is good. And like I said, it's not because of the amount of good or bad matchups she has. It's because of Ken and Luke, basically, I think. This is my copium. I think because she goes even with Ken and Luke, that is enough to make her a good character. Just those two matchups. Because these characters are everywhere. They're two of the strongest characters in the game. And if you can fight them, you're viable. That's Giga Copium? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I still believe. I know everyone's given up on A.K.I at this point. I know everyone keeps telling me that she's bottom 1. I still believe, because she fights these 2 characters pretty well. Yeah, might be the copium talking. But anyway, that's just my opinion. We'll come back to this in a couple months' time, and I'll see if I've changed my tune. But let me know what you guys think. I'm interested to see some other opinions down in the comments. And yeah, see you guys in the next video.